Doing handstands until you're 100 requires you to transfer your weight into your upper body. First, we put the hands back behind our head like this as we do that hollow roll. To help fix that, it's called pyramid push-ups. You come down, you just cartwheel out. And first, we're gonna talk about the benefits behind doing that kind of training. Second, we're gonna talk about the mistakes and errors that people often make. And then third, we're gonna talk about how to do it. And so I'm gonna start off with a little bit of some movement to get going here. But like I always say, don't mistake videos for instruction. And so as I get warmed up a little bit here, I'm gonna talk about the benefits of hand balancing. And you guys will see how I warm up at the same time, simultaneously. It's a little cold outside. It's dumping snow right now. And so it's a little chilly. So get the body moving. And the first benefit for hand balancing is that you're developing massive amounts of upper body strength, and your whole body is working together in a comprehensive way. So not only are you using your shoulders, your triceps, your forearms, and your hands, your wrists to support your entire body weight in an inverted position, but your core is also holding everything stable. Your lats are firing to stabilize. Your legs, of course, are holding in different positions. And so that's number one. You're building strength and totality throughout the entire body. The second thing is that you are learning how to deal with going upside down. Have you ever had issues with going upside down or getting dizzy, or whenever you go in an inverted position or rolls or any kind of normal human movement? Well, training in those positions help you to overcome all of those situations. Then the third benefit, and there's many more benefits than this, but the third benefit is that it is low impact. And it's one of the styles of training that I like to build up from the ground up, no pun intended, but it helps to build out all of the joints, all of the flexibility, the mobility, and everything else. And then you can take all of that strength and apply it to any other situation. I often use the analogy, I have a background in drawing and painting. Realistically, I went to school for it, and I've had shows and did work as a teacher, art instructor. And sometimes I make the comparison between building a handstand and learning to draw realistically. Because they're both incredible. If you see a realistic drawing, you're like, wow, you know what I'm saying? And then if you see someone doing a handstand. Wow. Yeah, Benny. Just a two-arm handstand, just a regular basic handstand. Usually people are like, wow, how do you do that? Let alone a one-handed handstand or any of these cool variations and stuff. And so they're very cool things to see, okay? And they take and require a certain level of discipline and focus in terms of building that skill. So handstands are not only strength, but the development of skill. Okay, so some of the mistakes that people make. First and foremost, you probably are scared of going upside down. This has to do with being able to trust your body and on a subconscious level, you're probably aware that there are weak links that will hold you back or put you in an unsafe situation. And so that's why you have that feeling. People's wrists simply can't support that weight, no matter how much weightlifting you do and everything else, because of the fact that you're never using your hands in this kind of position, in full extension, flat against the ground, let alone if you're on a soft surface and your hands are going backwards. And so first, the foundation, you're not trusting your own foundation. When you're holding barbells, the wrists are always in an advantaged position. On a handstand, they're not. So your wrists have to deal with all of that pressure. The other one, and this is probably even more difficult for most people than just the wrists, is your shoulder range of motion. And so if you cannot, and the body knows this, there's a thought that I had that a person's body is the victim of the person's beliefs. And at a deeper level, whenever you subconsciously are aware that you have a weak link, then you are not going to use your body in that way, and then it's going to be a vicious cycle that continues to cause problems. And so you think that you're not talented, or you're too old, or you're too out of shape, or past your prime, or all those kind of things. And at a subconscious level, you might just kind of be aware that you have weak links, and shoulder flexibility is one of them. So just being able to take your arm straight up vertically. And so if we walk up the wall like this in a push-up position, with feet on and the nose on, and that's it, and then stretching the arm straight and lock out. Most people, they can't put their arm vertically overhead. They can't support the weight because their arm is in a planche position with that closed shoulder angle. It could be a straight arm planche, it could be a bent arm planche, but people's arms are usually at this angle. If you're not used to hanging, if you're sitting on a computer all of the time. So watch from this angle here. Whenever people kick up to a wall handstand, which actually should be avoided at the beginner level, there's other things that I'll show you. I'm just covering the mistakes right now. But whenever people try to kick up to the wall, they can't reach because their hamstrings are tight and they can't pull themselves up off the ground. And then their shoulder angle stays closed, so they can never go all the way up to the wall. Then if they do, then they slump against here, and you see that shoulder angle? This actually puts me at a really unsafe position. Now I'm comfortable on my hands, so I can go up into that angle to show you guys, but you guys saw that closed angle there. And so that has to do with not only the shoulders, but also the upper back. And so if we walk over here, I'll show you some more things that will help with the back and your spine. Spine mobility is a critical one for athletic longevity. So if you want to do handstands until you're 100 and have the upper body strength and total body mastery, then you have to take care of your spine and use it the way that it was supposed to be used. People are just not doing that. Whenever you go to mainstream gyms and you're sitting down and you're just using the cables, just using the weights, those things are isolating body parts. Or if you're doing new things that are sort of outside the mainstream, outside the box thinking, they might not be pushing you to the level that you need to get to really start making these things happen. And so here is an easy one. We just did these last night. So letting the arms hang overhead. Adam, how do your shoulders feel from last night's training?
Oh yeah, burned up pretty good in a good way, you know, definitely feeling it today. Definitely liked ending the night with that stretch though. It's really nice to end a good workout with a stretch like that.
Did you just feel it in the shoulders, or
it's in my chest, triceps, my necks, my back, the whole core and back, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Some of those kids are like Gumby, their arms just...
I know, it's amazing.
Okay, so then the other one, that's going in an anterior, so an anterior tilt. Okay, coming this way and stretching the shoulders in that way, which most people need. But then what about the other direction, where if we go up into a handstand, we need to be able to come out of that handstand and be safe. And so oftentimes people will just kick up like this, or they'll have their hand overhead and they're trying to heave themselves over. And that's not how you want to do it. So this is going to transition into some of the how. So how to start building your handstands from all angles. That's what I teach people to do inside the hand balancing element of Powerbatics, that we teach to multiple kinds of people, pilots and engineers and architects and software developers and professional athletes and people who have played at the games on Mount Olympia, and artists and video editors and all sorts of people doing this kind of training at all ages as well. So we have folks that are even up in their 60s and 70s working on handstands. So this is literally something that we're doing every day and helping people to build that level of body mastery that translates into all these skills as byproducts. And the cool thing is that it's not just the cool moves. It's the fact that you have confidence in your body again, that you can move however you want to. So instead of heaving ourselves over, instead of not taking any action because a person is subconsciously holding themselves back, being a victim of their own beliefs, we want to easily and effortlessly start building this. And so we can do that by putting the hands on the ground. Now, I don't even want to kick up into a handstand yet. I want to show you guys the opposite direction with posterior tilt of the thoracic. And we'll begin our handstand training actually by laying down. And we'll lay down in something called a hollow hold. So my knees are together, my feet are together, my feet are pointed. I'm just thinking about those details of the body. The only thing touching the ground is going to be my lower back. My chin is tucked in, my hands are forward. So we start with a little bit of core strength, and this is going to be very important, and I'll tell you why in a second. But there was a point that I made about the vestibular system and people feeling dizzy. And this can kind of overlap those feelings of fear as well, because it ties into your nervous system. And this is one critical aspect of training that is rarely ever discussed. Usually it's always about muscles and muscular hypertrophy and do you have a six-pack and da-da-da-da-da. Listen, that's great if you have a six-pack, if you have muscles and you want to have a good self-image. But really, frankly, I could care less how good your six-pack looks if what's underneath is atrophied. And I mean that in both a literal and a metaphorical sense, if you understand what I mean. So we're building this shape here, and we turn this into a rock. And then this is actually one of the last moves that we do in our warm-up. We have about 36 moves, and we're always tweaking things too. And so we have, not tweaking, but tweaking things. And we have 3 moves that we do at the end of warm-up. I'll show you each one of them. First, we put the hands back behind our head like this as we do that hollow roll. Right here might even expose a weak link for you if you try this at home. You might already feel it in the wrists. It's cold right now. I'm just starting to get into training here, and I feel it in my hands. I feel the stretch back through. And so we'll come here like this, and then we grab the knees. Okay? And by the way, put your wins and victories in the comments. I love to see those. So the other one we do is this way. We come back and we touch that foot to the ground and we do both sides. But just focusing on this one, like that. That rocking motion is already going to start to get to some people. But this is just a small piece that we do as a warm-up, which then transfers into more dynamic movement that you're going to need for your handstand or anything else. And that is your front roll. So whenever we do our handstand, we want to be able to do this already. Hands down. And just from this really easy lunge position, we tip our chin, kick over, and then we grab our knees. And we're going to use the leg strength to get up, not our hands. So from that low lunge like this, and ideally we want to be like this whenever we train it. Hands down, grab the knees and stand back up. The head should not be touching at all. But for the purposes of hand balancing and even learning a basic roll, we can use a little bit of lift from this kicking leg. Come over and stand up. That way, after you practice that, which is also training the upper body, and if that's difficult for you, it might be exposing another underlying weak link, which very well could be your shoulders and the shoulder strength. So tipping yourself over like this requires you to transfer your weight into your upper bodies. And if you have that feeling of, oh no, no way, then chances are you're just lacking strength. Does that make sense? So one thing that we do to help fix that is called pyramid push-ups, where we're touching the back of the head and we have the hips raised up overhead so that we're in that shape, simulating the introduction to that roll and putting all of the weight in the shoulders. This translates into all of your free running, eventually front handsprings and really cool moves, vaulting over blocks, and of course your handstand, which is the main focus of our training today. As we start to piece this together, we have our strength built from our pyramid push-up. We have the tip over using the core strength. Sometimes another thing that happens to people, I see this one. I call this the Pez dispenser head. Have you noticed this?
Oh yeah, I know the, yep.
So when people are finishing their roll, they come up and their head is way back here and their mouth is wide open because they don't have the sternocleidomastoid strength in those muscles to hold everything in tight. And what you're experiencing on that roll, even just that roll, imagine a double front flip or something more advanced, you're experiencing G-force. You're experiencing centrifugal force at the edge, and your head is being pulled away from the center. And so that strength has to tie in all the way even to your neck. Somebody at one of our workshops actually asked me about how to, he said, you guys train everything else. We were in France and we were just outside, everybody was training. And he said, you guys train all the parts of the body, but what about the neck? And I was like, he was asking like how do you take a punch, you know? And there's a lot of videos, and it goes all the way back to Mike Tyson, who was doing the bridging on the neck. And nowadays, there's quotes of him saying that was brutal for his neck. He's paying for it now. His neck is all messed up from all of that neck bridging stuff. But there's good strategies for specifically building the neck. And I said, well, just in the training that we do, your neck is being built because it has to brace against all of the forces involved. And that's a big difference with our training, is there's the static, there's the sets and reps, the main foundational strength stuff, and that accounts for probably about 10 to 15% of everything. All the other stuff, all of your movement, all of your speed, all of your rolls, your flips, your vaults, everything else that you have to brace. And so your neck is constantly shifting and positioning and flexing to hold against all of that. And whenever you have centrifugal force involved, it's holding and keeping everything together so that your head doesn't come flying off, quite frankly. And so that is a major part of this roll, just a basic front roll, which is going to be a safety for you for your hand balancing. Now, you don't have to resort to rolling either to come out of a handstand. There's better ways. I don't roll out of handstands. Whenever you start getting comfortable going up over, just having that confidence of knowing that you can roll if you need to. But typically, if you come down, you just cartwheel out. And so that's another tool in the tool bag that you want to have. I know a lot of people, they're just over the moon whenever they are training with us and they are able to do a cartwheel again. They might not have had a cartwheel in 30 years or never did one in their life, and they're trying to remember how to move. And a lot of people think that it's moving like that. Well, I guess I should say this, that it's kind of just remembering how to move like you did when you were a kid, and your body just responded and everything. Well, getting back to that is very important. So just knowing how to cartwheel, I'll show you a basic cartwheel that we start with. There's just a frog wheel like this. So we're down low and we reach to the side, and that eventually turns into a horse stance and coming over with good control. And so there's a couple of tools there that will make hand balancing for you feel more confident. Now remember this, every time you do handstand, you're supporting your own body weight overhead like a military press. I've made other videos on the topic of bench press, which I think is absolutely unnecessary, and so do many other extremely advanced professional elite level athletes. So they've completely scrapped it from their training arsenal. But your hand balancing is going to be your foundational upper body pushing strength. And whenever you're doing that, you're supporting your weight every single time. And if you break the habit of thinking about working out but shift your train of thought to training, then the sets and reps all but become irrelevant as you're working towards building that skill and then ending on a high note every single session. And remember, put your wins and victories in the comments. Okay, so now we're building this foundation. We've got our front roll, we've got our cartwheel kickouts. And then as we start to kick up, we want to be able to use the hands to balance, and we start bringing it up into a bent leg stag position. That'll be your easiest one to start with. And this is where people start to break down a little bit from the rolls or to the inversions, that sense of dizziness or vertigo. That's your vestibular system. And so again, allowing your nervous system time, not just running back to your comfort zone and doing things that are just going to snowball the opposite direction and then not making any progress in something that's extremely valuable for your overall health, and continuing to just deal with all of the weak links that you have in your life. But embrace it and know that yes, you're training something that might be a little bit more difficult, that the masses are not doing, but that is rewiring you literally from the inside out, which is pretty cool. And so you might be here for a while, just kick ups, kick up, couple steps, kick up, couple steps, cartwheel out, kick up, oh no, roll, knowing how to roll. And as you can see, I'm sure you can tell by now, just that little rehearsal of all of the different things and mishaps that could happen and stuff, all that movement is part of natural movement. And if you're able to build that, that leads to your athletic longevity and allows you to handstand until you're 100. If you'd like to train with us, you're more than welcome to apply. I'll see you in the next video and in training soon. So this is gonna I'll put this at the end of the video, outtakes.